What's going on, guys? I'm Andrew.
I'm Jason.
And this is Movie Source.
Today we're doing our spoiler review for Batman v Superman:
Dawn of Justice. Alright, so we already did a non-spoiler review. You can actually check it out right here. Also, we're going to put it in the description of this video. We're also going to be doing a scene-by-scene breakdown of the entire film, which is going to be very interesting. I'm actually looking really forward to that as well. It's going to be up probably in the next week or so be on the lookout for that. Now, Jason, I've seen this film 3 times now, and like I said the very first time I reviewed it, I enjoy this film. It's entertaining. It is a good film, but there's a lot of flaws in it that I feel could have made it so much better. And there's going to be a lot of things that I talk about in here that might come off a little as negative, but it's my opinion of things that I felt could have been added to the story and maybe character motivations that I think could have made this like a masterpiece, like a Dark Knight kind of film where everyone really accepts it. Because I don't personally care what the critics think about a movie. It's like I've said in the past, all films are subjective. But this is clearly giving a big divide between people, and I understand why. Like, I like this movie, but when people are talking bad about it for certain reasons, there's some things I do agree with, and other things I obviously disagree with, but like, it's clearly, this film is divided, you know, and like I said, you should always form your own opinion.
This movie is really entertaining, and I thought it's fun to watch. It's a really long movie. It kind of drags a little bit, but for the most part, I mean, it keeps you pretty engaged. I think it's a good movie that just has many, many plot and story issues. Like, most of the action is good, but a lot of it, like, the motivations are just not there. It's like, you don't really know why Batman and Superman hate each other that much. They don't really play that up that much.
For me personally, I thought the Batman motivation, just from my favorite scene in the film, first of all, is the Battle of Metropolis, seeing Bruce Wayne's point of view on everything. Obviously, one thing I could not stand in that scene is how everyone had to wait for Jack and all the people in the Wayne Tower had to wait for Bruce Wayne to call them up and say, you know, leave. You see that alien invasion where the city's being destroyed? Get out of the building. I thought that was a little weak. I thought something that would have made it more personal is if they were stuck in the building, they could not get out. And when when Bruce called Jack, Jack says, we're stuck in the building, Bruce, come out and help us. And Bruce is like, I'm coming right now, I'm going to help you guys. And Bruce doesn't get there in time when Superman's destroy the place. And now Batman, Bruce Wayne, has extra motivation. He feels extra guilty and motivated by what happened because he tried to get there and didn't in time to save his friend. So I just felt that, again, loved the scene throughout for the most part.
Yeah, I love seeing Batman driving through the city.
Oh, that was
sick
amazing.
Action, and I love seeing the shot of the ship like up above the city line.
Incredible visual effects right there. The best visual effects in the film,
like you said, maybe doing it maybe in more that way, you would maybe feel for Bruce and Batman a little bit more in his motivations against Superman.
But that being said, I just felt that would have, like I said, I felt it would have added a little more extra motivation for Batman. That being said, I loved Batman's motivation for the most part throughout the film on why he was going after. And I loved Ben Affleck's take, by the way, on Batman. He was awesome. But there's one thing that did get on my nerves, I said in the non-spoiler, and also, as I said in the Batman 89 Batman Returns review, Batman is a murderer. Now,
it's kind of a fundamental issue.
Now, I would have actually gotten over this issue if they would have driven it, and they actually did mention it in certain scenes where Alfred says, that's how it starts, the fever, the rage that turns good men cruel. Great line, and I understood what it meant towards Batman. Now I get it; he's had enough. And also in the beginning of the comics, when Batman, you know, started in 1939, the Great Detective comics, he did kill, you know, at first, and also in the Dark Knight Returns, he does kill. He's had enough, you know, like this is an operating table. I'm the surgeon.
Well, this is he is older. He even says he's 20 years in, and how many people are still good in the city. So they reference it a little bit.
What I'm saying is I would have gotten, and again, he doesn't murder like everyone. He doesn't go out of his way to just murder guys, but he does murder. I'm just calling it like I saw on the screen the 3 times I saw this film. What I thought would have made me get over the murdering so much easier, and maybe other people, is if Superman's motivation was strictly on Batman was murdering people. And if you remember in the trailer and actually in the film, he says people's liberties are being trampled on and the police are doing nothing. And yes, Lex Luthor was sending him notes of stuff of what happens when you brand.
He's setting everything up.
Yeah, I get that. And by the way, please in the comments tell me how Lex Luthor knew that Bruce Wayne was Batman. I've never heard anyone give me a rightful explanation still. I still don't understand. And don't tell me it was because of the metamorphosis thesis. Batman is not a metamorphosis, and if that is the case, or rather, excuse me, a metahuman. If that is the case, then I just would have liked, again, little dialogue that says this is how Lex knows. I understand why Lex Luthor knew that Superman was Clark Kent. He goes to the Genesis chamber in the Kryptonian ship, tells him probably that Clark is Superman. So
I think he just could piece it together.
Fine, but I just would have liked just seeing
the Bruce Wayne, though, I definitely get it. Yeah, you don't really know how Lex knows that Bruce is him because he's sending him all those, notes on Wally's checks and stuff.
I just would have liked a little explanation.
Yeah, all they had to do was like one quick scene, even, or maybe even like when they're at his place, at the philanthropy event, like when just showing Lex like seeing him so that he actually knows,
camera
or something like that. It could have been 2 seconds. So many things in this movie that just could have been fixed with a 2-second fix.
Yeah, one of my other favorite scenes in the film is where they're at the party where Lex is like, "Boys, Bruce
That's one of your favorite scenes?
Yeah, because I like when they're talking. I love when they're talking to each other.
I like when Bruce and Clark are talking.
That's what I mean.
But not Lex, though.
Well,
that's I actually really liked Lex in this movie, but that was the one scene that I didn't really care for that much, even though that's the one we got in the trailer, too.
Getting into Jesse Eisenberg really quick, he's definitely not the Lex Luthor that we know from the comics, or even the Gene Hackman or Kevin Spacey, or even one of my personal favorites, the Michael Rosenbaum version from Smallville. Love him. He's definitely not like those kind of versions, and obviously we learn in the film he's Lex Luthor's son, Lex Jr. But from what the script called for and what it was asking Jesse to do, I personally did not mind it. Yes, there were a couple scenes where he was a little extra eccentric, but that's what the script told him to do. I thought Jesse Eisenberg was fine. I thought he did fine.
I thought he was really good, actually. Like you said, he's not really... He references his father, like, at least 10 times in the whole movie. So you're saying he is Lex Jr., not actually Lex...
I believe that. I mean,
because he says...
He said my father was the Lex in front of the corpse. That's what he said.
Yeah, he does.
He didn't say Luthor. He said Lex in front of the corpse, so I'm assuming this is Lex Jr.
I guess so. Alexander Luthor, so... That's his name, Alexander.
Well, I mean, that's like even senior too. So,
but yeah, I actually, like you said, it wasn't the true like Lex Luthor that we all know from the comics, but his standalone performance I thought was really good.
Basically, the last thing I just want to say about Jesse Eisenberg, I'm sure there's a different actor out there, and maybe could have brought a better portrayal of the character. But again, I like Jesse's performance in the film. I thought it fit. My only issue with Lex Luthor personally, I understood somewhat of his motivation on why he hated Superman, just from all his talks about his dads and about gods, and like how his father waved.
And his quote was, "It's the pain amongst men to have knowledge without power."
Yeah, no, I understood all that. My issue was when he had actually created Doomsday at the end, and Doomsday literally tried to kill him within 10 seconds. I just would have look, Lex Luthor's blood, for instance, is what he had to put on side. Just make a little dialogue, or the computer Genesis chamber says, because it's your blood, you have control over Doomsday. You can tell it what to do. Just something of that kind of dialogue, just really quick, would have made me go, okay, now I see Lex's endgame. He can control this evil Doomsday being. Dude, I totally see what he's going with this. And also, everyone would have to beg at his knees, like, please don't send this monster at me. You've got control. Oh my God, leave me alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think like a simple little fix like that, I would have been so on board for Lex's motivation in creating Doomsday, because I don't understand why he created Doomsday when it tried to kill him within 10 seconds of him creating. If Superman hadn't blocked Doomsday's punch, Lex is dead right there. What's the point there? I don't know. So, just for me. Now, moving on, just the first opening scene of this movie. Now, I think there's 2 comic book murder death scenes we've seen more than anything. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Uncle Ben, and Bruce Wayne's parents.
Yep.
Now, like I said, it's definitely been done to death. See what I did there? It's definitely been done to death. It's definitely been done to death, but I didn't mind this version. And you can't say in the Batman 89 version, the dad did try to stop the guy Jack Napier was working with. Yeah, for sure. But I did like how the dad, and I know you didn't care for it, but I did like how the dad tried to stop and go after, like he was trying to protect his family. I know it wasn't the smartest IQ, but it's like it was in...
I get all that, and I actually really liked the scene itself. Like all of the shots were amazing, and the scene looking down when they're at the theater. And yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. I just, thought it could have been done a little better, but I love some of those shots, especially with the gun, when you see the pearls around and it goes off. But then my biggest problem with this whole movie, when they're like, Martha.
I love that line.
You're going to tell me that's what brings Batman and Superman together. The mom's name is the same voice. Do we just become best friends?
Yep. We're gonna get into that. We'll get into that for sure in a little bit. I'll go into why I'm gonna defend the Martha thing. They could have added.
That could have been a part of it, but not like the thing.
No, I'm gonna add and defend why I liked it, and then what they could have done better when we get into the actual fight of Batman and Superman.
All right.
Now, really quick, just adding onto that scene, just when I saw Thomas Wayne make a fist and actually try to punch the mugger, it just really made me think of Thomas Wayne in Flashpoint Paradox. Just really quick, it's a comic and also an animated feature that we will review at some point in time. See what I did? It's an animated feature that we will do in some point in time. It's basically where Flash goes through time, goes into the past. He saves his mom from being killed. In doing so, he stops Bruce Wayne instead of Thomas Wayne is murdered in Crime Alley. Superman, instead of being raised by the Kents, is now raised by the government and is now like a handicapped victim and is being exposed to the red light. It's just, the world is crazy. Wonder Woman and Aquaman are down each other's throats. It just really reminded me of Thomas Wayne as Batman. Just really quick, I thought that was cool. So a little Easter egg there. Now, one big thing that a lot of people complained about in Man of Steel was how Superman, snapped Zod's neck and killed him. And for people, first of all, I've never understood why people got upset about that. If you were okay with, in Superman 2, the Christopher Reeve film, if you remember, Superman has Gene Hackman, Lex Luthor, trick the three Kryptonians, General Zod, Ursa, and Non. He has them trick them, and then they become human, and Superman does not take them to prison. He breaks Zod's hands and throws him down the Fortress of Solitude, murdering him. That is straight up murder. This Superman in Man of Steel did it to save a family. You can say he could have taken the battle elsewhere, but the fight would have gone on. Who knows that?
Zod would never have stopped.
Yeah, he wouldn't have stopped. So this one, I totally accept, and I never understood why people got so mad at it. But what I thought would have been smart in this film, really drive the point of Superman feels so, and I'm sure he did, but I didn't, they didn't really go into it in this movie. He feels so much regret and still so alone about what he did to Zod, about killing him, even though he had no choice there. And he has the moral code now, basically what Batman has, in the Nolan films and usually in the comics, a moral code. They've twisted it now, or turned it. It's now, even though Superman always has a moral code, of course. I'm just talking about for this story, where Superman, it's the driving force of a plot line where Superman has that moral code, and then he has to, and basically Batman is now a murderer, as we said, or not a murderer, but he does murder. He kills people,
and he also brands as criminals, which basically kills them in prison. I would
have liked more motivation on Batman kills people, not Batman brands people, they die in prison, and that drives Superman's motivation. But Batman kills people, and Superman has to either turn this guy to stop killing people because in the past he knows that he's done crime the right way. Or he's got to stop and take him to jail because Batman cannot kill people and get away with it. That's wrong. I wish they would have enforced that in the story a little more, and I thought that would have added so much more depth and made it so much more personal between them two. Before Martha Kent gets kidnapped, I just would have liked that extra motivation.
Well, I totally agree with you. I mean, that's what I feel this movie was lacking big time, was just the really, Batman and Superman clashing on certain things, like actually talking to each other. They only talk to each other like twice, and even in those scenes, there's barely any dialogue. The only good dialogue between them was at Lex Luthor's event when it was Clark and Bruce. That was good. I loved that scene. That was awesome. Even though we saw the whole thing in the trailer.
Next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead.
Yeah. That was fine if it would have been part of a whole discussion.
I still loved it when they talked, though.
Those are all good lines. I just wish there was more. There was not enough of it.
No, I will say this, just I wish they talked. The scene where now, just really quick, we want to get into the Batman v Superman fight.
Before you say that, though, I want to say that's one epic scene where Batman's turning the corner and all of a sudden Superman's just there and you see Batman oh, shit. Yeah. And he just crashes into him and then Superman doesn't move and the Batmobile just goes flying.
Just like a pinball machine.
Yeah, no, I love that scene. That was epic.
No, it was definitely really cool, even though Superman did stop him from going after the bad guys.
True.
But no, it was definitely a really cool scene. Just now getting into what everyone paid to see, the fight, Batman v Superman. I know a lot of people complained about the length of the fight, and I can understand why, but I honestly, if it was a minute or two longer, great, cool. I was totally fine with it.
Well, they're used to seeing more Man of Steel, where Superman fought Zod for 20 minutes, and he fights Batman for 5.
Yeah, honestly, look, like I said, if it would have been a minute or two longer, cool, but I was totally fine. I thought it was so beautiful to watch. I just, like I said, that plot line that I wish they had added, I would have felt even more emotional tie there. But it was still amazing to watch on screen. To see that in IMAX was incredible. Also, I want to say this. Like you said about Superman talking to Batman, when he first lands and he goes, Bruce, you were right, and then like he starts like
shoots those guns at him. The shockwaves.
The shockwaves come at him, and then the bullets come at him, and then says, "You don't understand. There's no time." And he goes, "I understand." And then like when he throws Batman back into the bat on the roof, that's where one more time just try to reason with Bruce, say, "You don't understand. Lex has my mother," and then have Batman go, "I don't care what you have to say. I'm not listening." And then like he pounds and beats him away, and then shoots him with kryptonite, and then Superman has no choice. He's trying to reason with him twice. And I just felt one more reasoning, and he says, and like I said right there, he says Lex has my mother. So Batman now has in his mind, even though he's trying to talk to him and he's not listening to reason, he does have in his mind, he said Lex has my mother. So then when he says the Martha thing that you can't stand, now I'm going to defend that line. When he says, "Martha, you have to save Martha," if they would have done what I just suggested there, said that Lex has my mother when the second time he tried to reason with him, then Bruce would have had in his mind, "Oh God, your mother's name is Martha, so I can't do, like, I feel like Joe Chill, what he did to my mom, I can't take away your mom. I feel like Joe Chill in this moment. I'm not doing that to you. I am not going to let your mother die." I would have felt, again, I thought the moment was still beautiful. It would have been an extra emotional tie and pulled me in even more if the Superman would have just tried to reason with him a second time and just added Lex as my mother. It would have just pulled 2 and 2, and I would have been cool with the resolve so quickly right there, because again, he tried to reason and Batman did hear him the first time. I would have been, I'm just telling you,
I agree with you to an extent. There. I don't think it would have saved the scene or saved the whole reasoning. Better. It would have helped. And then, of course,
I still enjoyed the scene.
The whole key to the entire thing, according to the Flash, Lois comes in and all she says is, I don't know how she even heard him say that because she was in another room.
I bought that.
Martha's his mother. Okay,
I was okay with that.
I was fine with it, but I just didn't get how they made a whole big thing about the Flash coming in to talk to Bruce, saying that Lois is the whole key, when they really never really reference or play that up at all.
Well, I would say you're right. They definitely didn't go in depth about that because so many other things are happening. I would say Lois is the key in terms of bringing them together, in terms of the whole Martha thing there. And also I would say Lois is the key because if you saw, I want really quick, let's go into the nightmare sequence now. One of my, even though definitely a little out of context, there wasn't a lot, they didn't really explain a lot in that scene. Such a visually stunning and
looked great, and the fight scene was amazing.
And to see the parademons there, and to see, basically it was like Superman in Injustice Gods, basically, where he's working for Darkseid. And, again, that scene where to see Superman lasering guys, like, that was insane.
It was sweet.
It was such a crazy scene. And then seeing Batman, I love that suit, that night, the sand gear that he's wearing.
Yeah.
So cool. It reminded me of Batman, like in Mad Max or something. So it was really...
Yeah, it's kind of like a crossover like that. It was cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I love seeing that. I would have definitely liked a little more explanation, but... Again, I don't know. I don't really have too many theories on that. I would just say, maybe Flash, like showed him that or something. And then he said like Lois Lane is the key. And we saw in that where Superman says right before he kills Batman, he rips his heart out or pushes him, whatever. He says, "She was my world and you took her from me." So like I think that's what he meant. Lois is the key. Like without Lois, Superman is not human, and he's going to be against us.
See, all that makes sense, but they never really referenced that in the movie very much.
I would just say that would be, I don't know. That's
and as much as I did like that dream sequence, like the fight scene, all of that, like it didn't really have any plot purpose. So I sort of wish that they had made that instead of that action scene, they should have showed when Batman breaks into LexCorp and steals the kryptonite. I just really think that scene could have been so cool to showcase Batman's skills, like
I agree.
Being stealth.
I agree.
Killing, like, not maybe killing people, maybe not, but being stealth, beating people up, getting the kryptonite, and and like you said before, it could have shown him finding the Justice League files there.
I completely agree, and like I said with you, I would have gotten over the killing and murdering thing if they infused that more into the story of that's Superman's motivation to stop and turn him back, to say, dude, you can't do this anymore.
And they sort of play up Batman's motivation for that too, saying like he's been doing for 20 years. How many people are still good? Like when Batman's talking to Alfred.
No, they definitely make some reference. And the Alfred line I'd said earlier in this review.
Yeah,
I had said about good men turning cruel. No, again they made mention, but that doesn't mean I'm just gonna forget. Batman is different than and I get it. He's had enough. Robin is dead. He's had enough. I get it. Like, I get what they were going for.
And this isn't like, origin Batman. This is 20 years later Batman.
I get what they were going for. That doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy. As long as it would, I'm telling you right now, I would have forgiven it much more if it was more infused in the story. And then by the end of the film, when
a plot point.
And then when plot point, and then when Superman dies, like Bruce Wayne says, I failed him in life. I won't fail him in death. maybe now not only in getting the Justice League back together, but I'm changing my ways. I'm gonna do like Superman. He had a moral code, like after he snaps Zod's neck, and even though he was forced to do that, I'm gonna follow him like I used to, and I'm gonna lead after like Superman.
I liked how they were trying to, they posed the question: is Superman good or bad?
Stuff.
I liked all of that, and the stuff like with Neil deGrasse Tyson. That was a cool cameo. Like, and they're showing all the people like on CNN or whatever.
Cameos.
Like, no, I really liked all of that, and I liked people being on both sides of Superman, because that's totally how it would be in real life. Like, not everyone would be for him,
Yeah, I will say, now we got to talk about really quick the end fight.
Yes, we're going to talk about that.
The Batman, rather the Trinity, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman versus Doomsday. Now, before we get into that, I love the when Superman takes Doomsday up into space and then gets hit by the nuke. By the missile. I love when his face is all white and deformed, right out of the Dark Knight Returns comics, classic, right out of the comics, where he is deformed and white like that, and the sun has to give him his strength back. I love the great shot right there, and Zack Snyder with his usual visual flair, and I love the shot by Larry Fong right there. I'm so happy they got Larry Fong, Zack Snyder's usual camera guy, director of photography. No more of that shaky cam crap from Man of Steel. So they got rid of that guy. So Amir something, don't really care. Anyways. The scene where Lex is throwing the pictures of Superman's mom and Superman, kneels him, really reminded me of the Killing Joke comic, where Joker takes pictures of Barbara Gordon after he shoots her and paralyzes her and sends those pictures to Batman. Just really reminded me of that so much, and just was such a haunting scene to see Martha Kent tied up like that, and to see was it Witch that said over her forehead? Like because the mother of a demon must be a witch. Great line.
Yeah, no.
There's definitely
Lex had so many good lines in this movie.
There's so much good stuff in this movie. It should have been so
Mother of God, look at the time.
I'm just talking about overall this movie. There's so much good stuff in this movie. That's why I was gonna say. And again, it might sound like I'm being negative towards this movie.
I was just gonna say that we've been talking mostly about negative stuff in this review, but we both really liked this movie a lot.
I liked it a lot.
I think this movie was really hampered by two issues.
Too many
Number one was the trailer number 2 that basically showed us the entire movie, and we didn't get to see any of these big reveals that would have made us all go, whoa, Doomsday, or whoa, Wonder Woman. Like, come on, that would have been awesome. Mm-hmm. And 2, the title. Part A, Batman v Superman. There wasn't really that much focus on the actual fight.
I would have liked more
between
focus
them.
on
and
that.
2, Dawn of Justice. This movie had way too big a job of setting up everything in this movie. That's why the entire email Justice League seemed was way forced.
And let's get into that. And look, I'm a diehard comic book fan just in general, and comic book movie fan, of course. I love the Justice League. I love them. The scene, and even though it was great, I liked seeing them, no doubt. And it was in the cyborg scene. I like how we see Miles Bennett Dyson from Terminator 2.
Yep,
Guy can't get away from creating cyborgs and Terminators, right?
That's not.
So that scene, though, to me was so forced and hampered. The scene in general, not the well,
there's more the context.
Well, what I'm saying
the scene itself.
Again, my suggestion, I could be wrong. I would have liked either 2 suggestions, either where we see something like in the news where like Bruce Wayne's looking at the news or something, or Clark Kent, and we're seeing like little stories about guys, and we're hearing like, oh, there's a guy who runs faster than anything, and he's a red lightning, and he's been saved. Just little hints, or a guy in water who's been causing tidal wave, whatever, little stuff like that, versus an email, or Batman, the scene you talked about that they didn't show. I really hope that's in the 30-minute cut. The scene in LexCorp, where we don't see LexCorp, where we don't see anything. Again, that scene was just off camera. I would have loved to, when Batman infiltrates there and leaves his calling card, I would have loved to, Batman, it like looks on, even though he got the military grade A stuff back, the encryption stuff that he got from Lex, I would have loved Batman, that's where he catches the stuff.
That's where
he's looking on
that would have been great.
He's looking on Lex's computer, like just anything else that he can track down on top of the kryptonite he's already got. And then he sees the metahumans and goes, "Who are these guys?" And then he sends that to Wonder Woman from right there.
No, I agree.
And then Wonder Woman can just look at the thing. She doesn't need to watch it because we, as the audience, have already watched it now with Batman.
I thought Lois's role in the movie was actually pretty good. I really liked Amy Adams' performance.
I did too.
She did a really good job. And most of her, like, she gets saved by Superman 3 times in this movie, which seems a lot. But at least she's saved for a reason. Like, she's actually doing all this, reporter and detective work. Like, she's talking to the government officials about the bullet thing and, like, trying to figure out why Lex is, setting this whole thing
She's
up.
not
She
just
figures out the whole Lex Luthor thing.
She's not just a damsel in distress. She has a purpose, and she's driving the story.
She is a damsel, but it's for a reason.
Well, then I'm saying she's not just a damsel in distress only.
I agree.
She is driving the plot in certain scenes. That's all I'm saying.
Definitely.
But my only issue, like I said, that last scene is where she
throws it in the pool,
and then without Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman saying get the spear, she just in her head says, I gotta go get the spear and get it.
I actually really liked the scene where Superman gets up and flies and grabs the spear, and you see Wonder Woman lasso Doomsday with the rope.
The truth of lasso.
Yeah,
the lasso of truth. The lasso of truth.
Doomsday with the rope. Then perfect timing. Batman shoots the canister of kryptonite, blows him in his face, and then Superman stabs him.
No, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the lasso of truth, when she threw it on him, and I was like, the lasso! Oh my god! Never seen it on the big screen. That was so good. At least they didn't reveal that in the trailer. I'll give you that. Right?
It's Wonder Woman, though. She has it.
Yeah, I know. I'm making a joke, dude. I'm trying to defend Warner Brothers here, man. Give me a break.
No, they failed with that trailer. They failed.
But really quick, like we've said many times in this review, there are so many things in this movie that we like. These things that we're getting on right now, we feel would have made it. And again, we're not saying we're right. We're just our opinions are saying we think that these little things that added I'm not saying the way I see it, but maybe if these were addressed, just little things, I just feel would have beefed it up more to the point where I can go to you guys 9.6.
It would have made a good movie great.
That's what we're saying. Would have made a perfect explanation. Would have made a good movie great. As it stands, it's a good movie. Really quick, I just want to go into some things we really did like. I loved all the actors' performances for the most part in this film. I can't really think of. I know a lot of people did not like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. We already talked about that. We're not going to go into it.
Everyone did.
Holly Hunter. I liked everyone. The scene with the Granny's peach tea.
Yeah, peach tea.
Granny's peach tea. That was cool.
Yeah, that whole Lex versus the Senator thing was played out pretty nicely too. I like that. And Lex just has so many great lines in this movie too.
But just adding on to more things we liked. I enjoyed the characters. I just would have liked better character motivations. Like I said, I enjoyed the bat suit in this film. Both bat suits, actually, the armored one and the regular one.
That's one question I had. They never really showed you how he had it.
I know, it did feel a little...
And then he switches when he goes into the Batwing.
It felt a little Batman and Robin in terms of... I'm not comparing the movies, obviously. I can hate that movie so much. Batman and Robin, not this movie. In terms of in Batman and Robin, they just switch suits after they've done with Poison Ivy.
They never even show him like working.
Oh, they don't even show him like getting out. Oh no, I don't. Well, they showed Alfred working on the helmet.
Yeah,
but they did not show Batman like just quickly getting into his old suit again. So whatever though.
One thing I'm surprised that you haven't mentioned to me once in this entire time we've been talking about this movie is the Batmobile.
It felt like an infusion of both the Christopher Nolan tank. Yeah, but what I'm saying is it felt like a combination of both the Christopher Nolan tank, or rather the Tumbler, and the Tim Burton Batmobile.
Like actual mobile, yeah.
Yeah, it felt like the two of those combined into one. Yeah. So I love this Batmobile. I'm not sure.
I liked it a lot.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if I think it's my favorite Batmobile, I got to give it more time. I don't know. I still got to give it more time and think about it.
It's not in the movie all that much, but in the scenes that it's in, it's pretty slick. It's got some nice guns that pop out and
And I know. Oh, and the scene where the Batmobile goes back into the Batcave in the water. That's the coolest time I've ever seen Batman go back into the Batmobile.
And I really like the Batcave itself too. It's very high tech and it's almost like just part of his house.
Off to the side of the lake. I'd like to go into more. I hope in this. By the way, I am so pumped and excited for Ben Affleck's solo Batman film where he's going to be directing and Jeff Johns and him will be writing that. I'm so excited for that.
That movie's going to have a good script.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, for sure. And also it's going to have complete plot point, detailed attention to the point where they won't go, okay, this needs to make a little more sense. This character can't make that decision and that's not going to make sense. It's just, let's just put it this way. I don't want to have to question so many character moments. I don't want to have to question plot things. Wait, did that happen? And why are they doing that? I just don't want to have to question so much. You know what I mean?
And this movie actually had a pretty good script. The script was good. It's just, like you said, the plot points and the screenplay maybe wasn't
And some of the character motivations could have been better.
But the script itself, for the most part, most of the dialogue was good. It's just I wish there were more dialogue in certain scenes.
One thing we do got to mention, last thing for me before we get into the scores, the death of Superman.
I was going to talk about that too.
Now, they did infuse 2 comic book adaptations in this, which were big driving forces. The Dark Knight Returns, where Batman and Superman fight each other, and also the death of Superman, where Doomsday kills Superman, and then Superman comes like, now look, completely ballsy, and I tip my cap to them for going after. And I was definitely sad when Superman died, for sure. I just felt it was and again, I don't mind them doing it, but I felt it was a little too early on in this series to do it. I think maybe in the first Justice League movie or in the solo Superman, I just felt it would have had more of an emotional tie, because while I do love this Superman, not a lot of people feel the same way I feel about Henry Cavill's Superman. They don't have that same emotional tie, and I understand why, you know what I mean? And also, we only have had 2 films of him, you know what I'm saying? So I think more films and more depth, and also too, I feel if the whole Justice League would, like, their friendship were around, like, it would have more of an emotional tie there. They've been through battles together, and we all know he's coming back, but the fact that you killed him this early, it's so much more obvious that he's coming back when we got so many more movies.
Too, it's like,
when it's more down later in the line, it's less obvious.
Since we know that the whole Justice League is coming, it's like everybody knows that Superman is not dead. So, like, I liked that they actually killed him. Like, I had no problem with that. The scene itself was good.
Yeah.
But it's like,
oh, it's a good scene.
Everybody knows that he's not dead.
We got to talk about Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL. The
music was amazing in this movie.
The score in this film was incredible. I loved it. I love the Batman themes in it. I love the
Lex Luthor themes were amazing.
How about even the Wonder Woman theme?
That was great too. Yeah, and I love how every single time, like, you see Wonder Woman in those, like, you know, in their dresses or whatever, every time they see her, they play like a little hint of that main theme, and then when she's reading the Justice League email, they play the rhythm drums, but without the lead.
Yeah,
and then when she comes and saves
it combines
Batman,
them both.
All of it. Oh, amazing!
You've solved a riddle. You're like the Riddler. You're like Edward Nygma.
No, it was just a nice little, like, throw-in. Like, I don't know, I loved all that, and I really enjoyed the Lex Luthor theme. I remember there's one scene in particular where Lex is, like, saying what he wants from that one senator guy. Like, you know, I want access to the ship, and I want Zod's body. That was a very stylistic scene that was played through great with the music.
And the
music
humor,
playing behind
with the cherry Jolly Rancher.
Yeah,
I liked it.
That too. Guys, the music just made that whole scene for me.
And again, call me a nitpicker. I'm sorry. Can someone please explain, why would Superman leave that Kryptonian ship? Why would he just leave it there for 2 years? Oh, the government.
That's a good question.
The government wants my ship. Let him have it. Let Doomsday be born. And I know he
literally could just fly in 2 seconds,
and grab it and leave.
Yeah.
And I know he had no idea that Doomsday would be born. I get that.
But you shouldn't want to leave the U.S. government access to his ship.
Not only that, don't you want to learn? Maybe there's something in there that you can salvage for Krypton or Kandor or whatever. You know what I mean?
And how did the government have Zod's body when Superman killed him?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Superman snapped his neck. He just said, "Government, here, you can have Zod's body. I'm not going to take and bury him properly." I didn't get that either.
Yeah.
Just again, all these little minor nitpicks. I just little explanation scenes, which I'm hoping the Ultimate Edition. If the Ultimate Edition fills it in, I'm good. I won't care about these things as much. But I will definitely question why didn't they release that. But we'll definitely see, and I can't wait to do the Ultimate Edition. Now, getting back to this, getting to the score of this. Like I said, I really enjoyed this. It's a good movie with flaws. I'm going to just call it like it is. It's a good movie with some flaws in it. There's some plot hole elements in it for sure, and there's definitely some character motivations that, in my opinion, could have been beefed up and a little bit better. But the pacing of the film is pretty good. I really like the characters a lot in this movie. I think the actual universe, it's such a not only is it beautifully cinematography, the cinematography of the universe is gorgeous. It's just an interesting universe in general, just not only the characters, but just the look and feel of the cities from Metropolis to Gotham. I love the look of the cities too. I'm really invested in this. But obviously between Jason and I, it's obvious we do want more from these films, and that's why we were a little disappointed. But we still are. It's not Batman and Robin. It's nothing even close to crap like that. It's still a good. Yeah, I'm not comparing. I'm just saying. I'm looking at the positive side. It could have been way worse. Even though I did want a masterpiece like The Dark Knight, I also look at it could have been like Batman. I could have gotten that, and then how would I be reacting to this? You know. So I'm still happy with what we got. I just would have liked a little more tightening and beefing up of some of those things we were mentioning in this video, and I think it would have been a masterpiece. That being said, I'm still going to stick with my original score of 8.1 out of 10.
I really enjoyed this movie. I saw it multiple times. I actually liked it much more the second and third time I saw this than the first time. Still a little bit disappointed, but like Andrew said, it's a good movie with a lot of flaws. Certain things could have been played up a little bit more, and certain things could have made a little bit more sense. But I'm actually going to move up my score a little bit to a 7.5. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this video. Please let us know what you thought about this movie in the comment section. I'm sure a lot of people have different reactions, so let us know what you think. And if you want to see more videos like this one, you can hit the subscribe button.
See you guys next time.